Have you ever wondered why, as we grow older, our preferences for social activities seem to shift, often resulting in us gradually pulling away from social gatherings in favor of spending time alone? This video will delve deeply into the reasons behind this behavioral shift, exploring how our evolving needs and priorities shape our choices. It's a phenomenon that many people experience but rarely stop to analyze fully, and understanding it better could be life-changing for those who are feeling disconnected or even guilty about their preference for solitude. This shift isn't a sign of failure or rejection of social connections. Rather, it reflects a profound, natural change in our sense of purpose, interests, and what we genuinely value in our interactions with others. If you find yourself resonating with this feeling, or simply curious to understand why, then stay with us, because this discussion could offer you invaluable insights into how we can build a more fulfilling and balanced life as we age. Now, why is it so important to explore this topic? As we progress through different stages of life, our social expectations can sometimes feel like a burden, especially when they clash with our personal needs. Understanding why and how these shifts occur can empower you to make more intentional choices about whom you spend time with and how. It can also help you set healthy boundaries, which are essential for maintaining peace of mind and personal happiness as we grow older. In today's video, we'll cover everything from changes in social dynamics, the influence of societal pressures, and how our values evolve with time, to the ways we can cultivate meaningful connections that align with our current priorities. We'll be diving into real-life examples and practical advice on how to navigate social interactions gracefully, regardless of whether you prefer solitude or still enjoy socializing to some degree. Before we start, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. Your support means the world to us, and if you find this content useful, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you're helping us spread these important insights about the aging journey. Additionally, if you find that this video resonates with you, let us know in the comments below by typing the number 1. If you feel that there's room for improvement, please comment 0 to let us know so that we can continue enhancing our content to better suit your needs. Remember, this isn't just a video. It's an invitation to reflect on the ways we can live more authentically and joyfully as we age. Every stage of life brings unique lessons, and together we can embrace this journey with a greater sense of purpose and connection. Now, without further ado, let's begin exploring how the journey from sociability to solitude can lead to a richer, more balanced life. Shift from social gatherings to solitude. As we begin to explore why our social habits shift over time, let's take a moment to reflect on how different our social experiences were in our younger years. Think back to a time when inviting friends over was an event filled with anticipation and joy. These gatherings held a special, irreplaceable warmth. Inviting people into our homes felt natural, and there was a sense of freedom in entertaining at home rather than in a public setting. The informal, personal atmosphere of being at home allowed for open, relaxed conversations that went beyond surface-level small talk. Whether it was taking turns hosting dinner parties, playing games, or simply spending time catching up over coffee, these interactions were more than just social obligations. They were moments that strengthened our friendships and gave us a sense of belonging. At the core of these friendships was a mutual understanding that honesty and authenticity were prized above all, a shared belief that laid the foundation for trust and genuine connection. But as time moves forward, something subtly begins to change. Society's expectations and norms shift, and many of us notice that the authenticity we once cherished in relationships is increasingly rare. In a world where social interactions are often polished for social media or burdened by superficial courtesy, it's not surprising that many of us find ourselves preferring solitude. Our perspectives on friendship and socializing transform. We're no longer as inclined to invite others into our personal spaces. It's not that we no longer value connection, but rather that we become more selective about how and with whom we spend our time. Recognizing this change can be liberating. It allows us to release any guilt we may feel about prioritizing solitude over endless social commitments. As we age, our energy and time become precious resources, and we start to prioritize experiences and relationships that feel authentic and meaningful. One practical piece of advice here is to embrace this selectiveness without reservation. Allow yourself the freedom to choose fewer but more meaningful social interactions. This doesn't mean you're isolating yourself. It means you're intentionally creating space for deeper, more fulfilling experiences. Consider making your home a sanctuary for those closest to you, inviting friends over selectively and thoughtfully rather than out of obligation. And if you still enjoy socializing but prefer not to host, consider arranging get-togethers in neutral places like cafes or parks, where you can connect without the added stress of playing host. This approach is about quality over quantity. Rather than scattering your attention and energy across numerous casual friendships, focus on nurturing a smaller circle of meaningful relationships. This way, you're not only respecting your own needs, but also fostering an environment where authentic connections can thrive. Reasons for reduced social visits in older age. As we explore further into the reasons why social visits often decrease as we age, it's essential to recognize that this shift doesn't necessarily stem from a lack of interest in others, but rather from a combination of practical considerations, changing priorities, and the need to avoid unnecessary complications. For many, visiting others can start to feel burdensome. There is a feeling that entering someone else's home could be inconvenient or even disruptive to their family's daily routine. As we age, we become more attuned to our own comfort and the routines that bring us peace, and often these routines don't include frequent social outings. Instead, we learn to appreciate the quiet joys of solitude or the company of a select few people who truly understand and respect our boundaries. The notion of dropping by for an unplanned visit or spending extended hours at another person's home can feel more like a disruption than a pleasure, and this is something that society doesn't always acknowledge, leaving many feeling pressured to maintain social habits that no longer bring them joy. To illustrate this point, let's consider the story of Uncle Ma. He's a man who deeply cherishes his friends, and like many, he has a lifetime of memories with them. Recently, he reconnected with a friend from school and started visiting him regularly. He assumed that because he was always warmly welcomed, his presence was genuinely appreciated. However, his friend's family started feeling uncomfortable with the frequency of these visits. They found it difficult to continue with their normal routines, and while they respected the friendship, they began to see his visits as an interruption. Eventually, the friend had to address the situation, explaining that though he appreciated the time they spent together, the regular visits were disrupting his family's rhythm. For Uncle Ma, this revelation was surprising. He had taken the initial invitation to visit as a genuine and lasting welcome, not realizing that there could be unseen boundaries that differed from the openness of past friendships. One practical tip here is to reassess the social boundaries you're comfortable with and to recognize when these boundaries may have shifted for others as well. Rather than feeling hurt or rejected by reduced invitations or fewer visits, see it as a natural adjustment in the relationship. It's okay to value your space and routines, just as others value theirs. If you sense that a visit might feel intrusive, consider suggesting alternative ways to connect, like meeting in a shared, neutral location where there's no expectation to entertain or disrupt a family's private space. Additionally, remember that it's fine to reduce the frequency of your visits with friends and to communicate openly about your own preferences. Respecting boundaries is not a sign of detachment, but a gesture of respect for both parties' time and comfort. By navigating social interactions in this way, you preserve the essence of the relationship without adding stress or complexity, allowing both you and those you care about to engage in ways that feel natural and undemanding. Changing social practices in older age. As we continue to examine the evolving nature of social connections as we age, it's essential to acknowledge how social practices and traditions themselves change. One significant shift is the way we celebrate special occasions and holidays. In the past, these events were marked by visiting family, friends, and neighbors, sharing meals, and extending well wishes in person. However, more and more people now find that the effort and energy required for such visits often outweigh the enjoyment. This isn't a lack of respect for tradition, it's a recognition of the growing desire for peace, rest, and personal space, particularly during times meant for relaxation and reflection. For many, the idea of spending holidays at home with a smaller circle of close family or even alone can be just as fulfilling, if not more so, than rushing from one social obligation to another. The modern pace of life is so hectic that by the time holidays arrive, what people crave is the chance to unwind, recharge, and engage in self-care. This shift in how we celebrate, moving from a full calendar of social events to a quieter, more restful approach, reflects a broader societal change where quality time and intentional connections are becoming more valued than fulfilling every social expectation. One way to manage this transition in social practices is to start setting clearer boundaries around when and where you engage socially. For instance, many older adults find it beneficial to suggest neutral meeting places, such as a local cafe or park, rather than hosting gatherings at home. Meeting in a neutral location relieves both you and others from the responsibilities and stress of hosting, allowing everyone to focus on enjoying each other's company. It reduces the pressure of preparation and cleanup, which can be particularly taxing, and it creates a more relaxed atmosphere. Suggesting these types of gatherings can be a graceful way to maintain connections without the added obligations that come with home hosting. Plus, the casual nature of these meetups allows everyone involved to set their own limits on time and energy, offering an exit strategy if someone starts to feel tired or overwhelmed. It's also a subtle way to convey respect for each other's routines and personal space without needing to explicitly discuss it. Additionally, consider using the holidays or special occasions as opportunities for smaller, more meaningful interactions rather than large gatherings. For example, instead of hosting a big holiday dinner, you might have a quiet lunch with one or two close family members or friends. Alternatively, using technology to keep in touch, such as sending heartfelt messages or organizing brief video calls, can be a powerful way to stay connected without physically visiting. In a time when virtual connections are more accessible than ever, taking a few minutes to connect digitally can be a wonderful way to bridge the distance without feeling overextended. By practicing these approaches, you allow yourself the space to celebrate in a way that feels fulfilling and genuine, balancing connection with the peace and simplicity that many of us grow to value deeply as we age. This change isn't about withdrawing from others. It's about finding ways to connect that align with the calm and satisfaction we increasingly seek in our lives. Embracing solitude and self-discovery. Now let's dive into one of the most profound and transformative aspects of aging: the journey into solitude and self-discovery. Many people, particularly in their younger years, have been taught to avoid solitude, often misinterpreting it as loneliness or as a sign of social failure. There's a societal misconception that being alone is something to be fixed or filled with social activity. But as we age, we start to see solitude in a new light. It becomes less of a deficiency and more of a deeply enriching experience, offering us space for self-reflection, personal growth, and inner peace. Solitude allows us to connect with our truest selves without the noise and expectations of the outside world. In fact, this time alone can be incredibly empowering, as it allows us to cultivate a stronger sense of identity and purpose outside of the roles we play in social contexts. Embracing solitude can feel foreign at first, especially if you're accustomed to filling your schedule with social activities, but learning to appreciate time alone is one of the most rewarding shifts you can make. One practical way to begin embracing solitude is to set aside specific times for activities that you find personally fulfilling. These could include anything from reading, gardening, or writing, to enjoying a quiet cup of tea in the morning or taking a leisurely walk. The key is to choose activities that allow you to be fully present, tuning into your own thoughts and feelings without distraction. For many people, this can feel incredibly liberating. It's an opportunity to reconnect with aspects of themselves that might have been overshadowed by years of busy schedules and social obligations. Try treating these moments of solitude as sacred, setting them as regular parts of your day or week, and gradually, you'll likely find that they bring a profound sense of balance and renewal to your life. Solitude can also enhance your relationships, as spending time alone enables you to approach your interactions with others from a place of clarity and contentment rather than need or obligation. Another important practice for embracing solitude is to reframe your perception of alone time. Instead of viewing solitude as an absence of companionship, consider it as a space where you cultivate self-compassion, resilience, and understanding. Solitude doesn't mean that you're isolating yourself. Rather, it's about building a life that feels complete, even in moments when you're on your own. This self-sufficiency can bring tremendous peace and confidence, allowing you to engage in social situations from a place of strength and authenticity rather than seeking validation. It also prepares you emotionally for life's inevitable changes, helping you to cope with losses, transitions, or periods when your social network may naturally decrease. Embracing solitude, therefore, is not just about spending time alone. It's about creating a foundation of personal resilience that can carry you through the complexities and challenges of life. By nurturing this inner strength, you're giving yourself a gift that will enrich every aspect of your life, allowing you to find joy, purpose, and peace from within. As we bring our exploration to a close, take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed about the transition from sociability to solitude and how it impacts us as we age. This journey is not just about withdrawing from social settings. It's a transformative process that reshapes our understanding of ourselves, our relationships, and the life we want to lead. Embracing these changes can empower us to live more intentionally, savoring the peace that comes from solitude and the depth that comes from carefully chosen connections. Ask yourself, what have you learned about the role of solitude in your life? How has your view on social interactions evolved over time? By understanding and accepting these shifts, we can better navigate the complexities of aging with grace and confidence. This acceptance allows us to be more in tune with our true needs, making each interaction and moment of solitude meaningful. One powerful way to apply this understanding is to start creating your personal balance blueprint. This involves identifying the people and activities that bring you the most joy and fulfillment, while also recognizing the value of time spent alone. Start by listing a few specific ways you'd like to nurture relationships that truly matter to you. Perhaps calling a friend once a week, scheduling a monthly lunch with a close family member, or setting aside time for shared hobbies. Then, list ways you can nourish your need for solitude, such as dedicating a certain day to rest and reflect, or setting up a space in your home that's exclusively for relaxation and self-care. This exercise serves as a reminder that both solitude and companionship have their rightful places, and embracing each on your own terms will lead to a life that feels fuller and more balanced. In conclusion, remember that solitude is not an absence of connection. Rather, it's a reconnection with oneself. Choosing solitude, as well as selecting a smaller circle of meaningful relationships, isn't about cutting people out or isolating yourself. It's about living authentically and intentionally. As we age, the beauty of this journey is learning that we no longer need to prove ourselves through endless social engagements or large gatherings. Instead, we find peace in the depth of fewer, truer connections and in the quiet strength that solitude offers. By approaching life with this balance, we're not only protecting our mental and emotional well-being, but also cultivating a life that aligns with our deepest values. If you found these reflections helpful, share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what resonated with you, and consider leaving a message about how you plan to apply this perspective to your own life. And don't forget, if this video provided you with insights and inspiration, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might find value in understanding the richness of solitude and self-discovery. Your support means everything to us and allows us to continue sharing meaningful content with you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to having you with us in the next video.